Hello everyone and welcome to Higher Level Thinker, the show where we focus on increasing your knowledge one video at a time. And today we're going to be answering the question, how do the most successful people think and how do they act? To answer this question, we're going to be exploring some of the concepts presented by Bryan Tracy in his book, Get Smart. Today we're going to be looking at 5 main ideas. The first main idea is focusing on long-term versus short-term. The second idea, informed versus uninformed thinking. Idea number 3 is goal-orientated versus reaction-orientated thinking. Idea number 4, result-orientated versus activity-orientated thinking. And idea number 5, positive versus negative thinking. So let's get started with the first main idea, focusing on long-term versus the short-term. So let's for example say that you're trying to get in shape, and we all understand that this is a long-term goal. It doesn't happen overnight and requires dedication for months or even years. But let's say on your way home, you accidentally pass a donut shop and you see a delicious donut in the window. What do? A short-term thinker would look at that donut and say, yeah, I'll have it right now. It definitely makes me happy right now. However, the long-term thinker realizes that although this donut may make me happy now, it actually sets me back from my long-term goal, which is getting into shape. This way of thinking can also be applied to our finances. Many of us, as soon as we receive our paycheck, start thinking about all the things that we're going to buy, whether it be that nice new car that we can't afford, that we have to finance, or any of the other things that bring us that instant gratification but hurt us in the long run. Long-term thinkers tend to use their money in a different way though. They may invest it in a rental property that will not pay off right away, but in the future hopefully generate some passive income, or even invest it in the stock market. Long-term thinkers tend to realize that they need to make short-term sacrifices to realize long-term gain. Bryan Tracy in his book puts it this way: resolve today to develop long-term perspective. Become intensely future-orientated. Think about the future most of the time. Consider the consequences of your decisions and actions. What is likely to happen? And then what could happen? And then what? Practice self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control. Be willing to pay the price today in order to enjoy the rewards of a better future tomorrow. Next we'll move on to informed versus uninformed thinking. Let's say you have decided to buy a car and you've had your eye on this really nice looking luxury sports sedan, except it's really expensive and you're not sure if you can afford it. But you think to yourself, this car is going to be great. However, a friend of yours tells you that there's a cheaper car that'll serve all the needs that you have, without putting you into debt. So you decide, okay, well, I'll do some research. You fire up your computer and you search in Google, great things about luxury cars. And of course you're given a lot of information about how great luxury cars are. You then conduct another search, but this one is problems with economy cars. And of course all the information you get is all the problems with economy cars. The problem with the information you've gathered is that it's all confirming what you already believe. This is known as confirmation bias. For this, Bryan Tracy recommends finding information that is counter to what you believe. So while there's nothing wrong in searching for great things about luxury cars, you also want to make sure you search for terrible things about luxury cars. In the same way, you also want to make sure that while you search for problems with economy cars, you also search for benefits of economy cars. This will ensure you have as much information available to you as possible to make the most informed decision. The next topic we're going to look at is goal-orientated versus reaction-orientated thinking. For this, we're going to introduce 2 different characters who happen to work at the same workplace. The first individual is very goal-orientated and he has an action plan in place and he knows what he needs to do each day. We'll call him Tom. Our second character doesn't really have any goals. He kind of just goes with the flow and kind of just reacts to whatever's happening around him. We'll call this character Steve. Now let's say it's a Friday and work is winding down and a couple of the co-workers that work with Tom and Steve are deciding that maybe we should do something after work, go get some drinks or just hang out. So the co-workers see Tom and Steve and they're deciding, well, maybe we should invite these 2 guys. So they walk over to the 2 guys and they're asking them, hey Tom, hey Steve, do you guys want to go ahead and get us some drinks with us this weekend? Now because Tom and Steve think in very different ways, their responses reflect how their thinking is orientated. Steve, because he is a reaction-orientated thinker, only reacts to the current situation and says, sure, I don't have anything planned. Tom, on the other hand, understands that he's continually working towards his goals and that unfortunately during the weekend, he's going to have to do some extra work in order to realize his goals. So he politely declines and says, thanks, but I have something to do. Remember to be always goal-orientated. The next idea is result-orientated versus activity-orientated. Now, throughout our day, we do participate in many different activities, but one question you want to ask yourself is, are these activities really getting the results that I want? And what I mean by that is, are we doing these activities to get results, or are we just doing them because it's an activity to do? Things like checking random emails or constantly uploading and checking out our Facebook pages, these things are activities. And many times they're activities that don't produce any results. And they can often distract us from the activities that we really need to do that are actually going to produce results. For example, if you have an online business, make sure you're doing activities that are getting you the results you need for that online business. One good question that you want to ask yourself when undertaking any activity is this activity moving me towards my goals? Answering this question will help you to understand if the activity that you are doing now is getting you results or if it's just something that you're just doing. The final idea we're going to look at today is positive versus negative thinking. So let's say you started a business, but it didn't work out so well. There are two different ways that you can respond to this event. Responding in a negative way would be to give in to your frustrations and say to yourself, "This cannot be done." Or you can try to exercise your positive mindset and use this as a learning experience. Perhaps you can tell yourself that it did not work this time, but you did learn something from this experience, and that with this information you will resolve to do a better job next time. So those were the 5 main ideas I wanted to share with you from Bryan Tracy's book, Get Smart. Before we end the video, let's go ahead and recap all the ideas that we covered today. Idea number 1, focus on long-term versus short-term. Idea number 2, utilize informed versus uninformed thinking. And idea number 3, become goal-orientated versus reaction-orientated. And idea number 4, focus on results versus activities. And finally, idea number 5, use positive versus negative thinking. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please do make sure to subscribe by clicking here. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you have any questions or want to discuss these topics further, please feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section below. Also, if you have any ideas for future topics to cover or any kind of books that you want me to read, please also let me know in the comment section below. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do sincerely hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.